Sergio Perez is finished in Formula 1. Hey guys, welcome back to today's video, and today we're going to look at why the Mexican Minister of Defense is finished in Formula 1 after his recent crash at the beginning of the Mexican Grand Prix and Monaco Grand Prix. Sergio Perez, where do we start? Let's flash back to May 2023. Sergio Perez went into Azerbaijan Grand Prix knowing he had 6 points to reigning world champion Max Verstappen, and since he took pole for the Miami Grand Prix, it looked as if Sergio Perez for the first ever time would be leading the world championship. That didn't go that well. If you like this sort of video about Sergio Perez and how his failures, I did a video all about the Miami Grand Prix in 2023 and how that was the decisive moment in Sergio Perez's world championship. So I'll cover all of that in like a longer extended video. So if you want to go and check that out on my channel page before you watch the rest of this video, that's okay. So, Sergio Perez went back into Monaco, now 14 points behind Max Verstappen, who had won the Miami Grand Prix, with Sergio Perez in second. Perez did what Jeff definitely wouldn't have improved if in the Formula 1 game when Sergio Perez crashed, and from there he was pretty much finished. There was nothing Sergio Perez could do. He would line up last for the Monaco Grand Prix and made several mistakes that we don't really need to go into, and in the end finished 16th. However, this wasn't the first time that Sergio Perez had made mistakes. He'd even crashed in the Australian Grand Prix qualifying whilst fighting Max Verstappen for the World Championship. At this point, he was only 1 point off, and a win there would have been decisive, and he certainly would have led the championship headed into Miami regardless. That was the early mistakes, but it just got worse as we headed into Spain. Max Verstappen took a dominant pole, but as the Mercedes collided, this was an amazing opportunity for Perez to restore his confidence with Russell knocked out. Instead, Perez was out in Q2 again, so then we rolled on to Canada, and after his fourth place finish in the Spanish Grand Prix, Sergio Perez was out again in Q2 in the mixed conditions, and in Austria he had the pace yet again, but did what pretty much everyone did at that weekend: it did track limits. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen won to victory, whereas Perez did get third for Red Bull on one of his final days of 2023. We arrived in Silverstone next, and once again Sergio Perez was out in Q1, whereas Max Verstappen was 2.5 tenths clear of the McLarens in one lap. This was a disgrace for Sergio Perez, who would line up 15th on the grid ultimately and only finish in P6 after passing Fernando Alonso. From there he had several bad qualifying results, not always make it into the top 5, but the Italian Grand Prix was a good race for Perez. He started 5th and finished 2nd, but we headed into Singapore where it all went east for Red Bull. Sergio Perez qualified 13th, but that wasn't the most important thing of Sergio Perez's weekend, and it certainly wasn't the worst. Whilst trying to pass Alex Albon late on in the Singapore Grand Prix for 9th place, Sergio Perez smashed into Alex Albon, putting Albon out the points, and Perez in 8th place. The fact that he was beaten by Piastri, who started 5 places behind him, is also something Perez will not want to be happy about, and that was another mistake for Sergio Perez. However, he returned in Suzuka after qualifying 5th, which was actually a good result considering his poor qualifying form. Perez all went wrong for him at the start, with a clash with Lewis Hamilton on the run into turn 1, with them fighting for second in the championship. Ever clear, it wasn't good for Perez, who tipped Magnussen into a spin. He was out of the race. So we arrived in Las Vegas, and Perez and Lewis Hamilton were both knocked out in Q2, but Perez was lucky with a safety car. From there we had a pretty big break of Perez being washed. Sergio Perez managed to, get through every now and then to the top 5, but then came Imola, where he qualified only 11th and finished 8th. However, it got worse for Sergio Perez. The following weekend came in Monaco, where just like Singapore, it was one of the worst weekends of the year for the Red Bull of Sergio Perez, with him only qualifying 18th in the streets of Monaco, with Lewis Hamilton doing 18th in China, but that was in a Mercedes. You rather get the skill level of this driver, who is going to get a contract anyway for next year. Then came the race, and we all know what happened there. Perez messed up the start and then didn't give Kevin Magnussen any room, and that was him out of the race. And this is exactly why Sergio Perez is washed in Formula 1. All of these Q2 exits, and I'll see you next time.